Welcome to the Archaeoastronomy Database YouTube channel. Many of you will be familiar with the YouTube videos and Facebook posts that the Archaeoastronomy Database produces with information and topics relating to archaeoastronomy, but the core of the work of the Archaeoastronomy Database revolves around an actual database where information on ancient sites with possible alignments is being compiled. And this video is intended as a quick overview of the first public release of a tool intended for interfacing with that database. Now, in order to use this tool, which you'll find linked in the video description and also is available through the website, is in the format of a Google spreadsheet. In order to use the spreadsheet, users will have to make their own copy if they want to do anything beyond simply viewing. So to do this, in the interface, you choose File, Make a Copy. Now this video is going to be just on the basics of using the database viewer tool, and future videos will go into more detail, and of course if you have questions going forward, you can always contact me through the website's contact form, through the Archaeoastronomy Database email, or by simply commenting or messaging through Facebook. Also, I want to focus on the basics so that this first video isn't overwhelming. The tool is relatively simple to use in its basic format, but there are layers of complexity for those that want to go further. And I'd like to make sure that everyone understands that it's well worth a try using the tool. You can't break it. You've made your own copy. If anything goes wrong, you can always make another copy. And in the future, you can also click this link to check for updates of the database viewer tool. And if the viewer version number changes, then you'll know that it's been updated and you can make a new copy of the new version of the tool. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get into the database and take a look at what the data looks like. In the Alignments tab, each alignment has a unique code for the entry and information about the location, including the site name and the type of site, and the alignment. Further to the right, there are links to any observations that have been submitted. There are links to various mapping applications, and these can be toggled to use different applications according to user preference or need. All the data can be filtered according to what you want to include or what you want to exclude. For example, a user might be interested in winter solstice alignments in Ireland. And so the data could be instantaneously filtered. In the case of this column, information is filtered to include the selection. If you want to further exclude other alignments that include the words winter solstice but aren't the actual winter solstice, then you can choose to exclude information. Alternately, you can do a geographic filter by entering some coordinates and then a buffer in kilometers. And now for 100 kilometers bounded by these values, you will get sites within that range. Let's say the only filter we're interested right now is to filter for sites in the UK. If a user is interested in making actual observations at these sites, it's important to note that observers must exercise responsibility and safety at all times regarding travel and site access, seek permissions where needed, and always treat ancient sites with the utmost care and respect. With these filters in place, we can check the Date tab, and this will show us when the sites that we've filtered in the Alignment tab have the Sun, Venus, or Moon at a position matching the alignment proposed for any of those sites. So for instance, if we were to go to September 12th, we can see that there are 2 sunrise events that match that data, 1 Venus set event, and 204 moonrise events, and 92 moon set events. So one method is, if this is a date that we might be interested in, and of course we can scroll and choose any date, we might copy this date and then go into the Sun tab. It's best to right-click and paste the values only, just so that we don't lose the formatting. and we can get that date. And I'll also go to the Venus tab to show that we can double click and use the calendar to select that same date. And in the Moon tab, I'll demonstrate that we can also simply type the date, 3 letters of the month, and the year, and we will also have that same information pulled up. So for the sun, we can see that there are matches to 2 sites, and again we have our map links, and we also have a link to Peak Finder that will generate a horizon showing us when the sun would be, in this case, rising. It takes a moment for it to load, and we can see we would have the sun rising. We can alternately choose different informational links that are useful that will generate a map of the sunrise and sunset azimuths, or a chart of the sunrise and set times. With Venus, it's a little trickier to determine the exact time for the observation of a set, and the Moon tab has some complexities because the Moon's moving so quickly. It's divided into 4 different timestamps, and those can be scrolled through here. And even with that much division, it's not necessarily 100% guaranteed that the Moon will be at the exact position desired for any of these matches, but it will be fairly close, and further videos can go into more details on how those particulars work. It's also possible to enter an alignment code in the Display tab and have all the information for a single alignment entry summarized, and whatever information is displaying here is also displaying in a more easily printable or copy and paste format on the Print tab. Again, there are the same links here to the various mapping applications. The site link is available, a link detailing how the alignment works, and any observation links of that alignment. There's an easier to read format here for the description of the alignment, whereas in the regular view, you can only see a little bit of the description unless you double click to display the full cell. But this area is formatted ideally for viewing. Also, you'll note that there are dates pulled for the various possible observations of this alignment. And you'll see that it pulls for the Sun, the Moon, and Venus. Even though this is for winter solstice rise alignment, and that can certainly be observed around the winter solstice for days on either side, centering on around December 21st, using the Sun. Venus also crosses through the appropriate declination at certain times of the year, and the Moon will reach those declinations depending on where it is in its cycle. And you'll notice that the Moon actually reaches closer to the desired declination, as indicated by these darker green cells, than even the Sun can do. And that's because the modern Sun doesn't quite reach as far as the ancient winter solstice Sun used to reach when the Earth was slightly more tilted, and so lunar proxies will reach closer to the ancient solstice sunrise position. But in the case of, for example, August 30th, 2025, the Moon will be waxing, but its rise will more likely be obscured by sunlight. It's rising in daylight. Now, those entries that say rising around dusk are usually a full moon, very easy to view, and rising when the sun is below the horizon, while clearly visible, may require observation at late or very early hours of the night or morning. But that will give an idea as to what observations could be made at a particular site, or alternately, what dates have sites that have observations that could be made, and which sites those are by going into the Sun, Venus, or Moon tab. So in that way, a person could get a good idea for a location they might be interested in, making observations and helping to plan that. As always, I'm more than happy to help answer questions. If you reach out through the contact form on the website, the email address, or through Facebook. And future videos will go into more detail. This was a basic overview, so please let me know in the comments if you have questions, And if you're able to help support the work of the Archaeoastronomy Database, that's greatly appreciated using the links in the video description. Please like, subscribe, and share this video if you know anyone that would find it useful. And thank you for watching.